Hey guys, I'm Brittany,
I'm Maria.
and welcome to the 100th episode of the Be More podcast.
I was just telling Brittany, I don't know how we got here, but we're here.
Well, that's most of life. I don't know how I got here, but I'm
I
here.
don't know how I'm still around, but I'm here.
Oh my Lanza. So
A
I
hundred.
literally it's weird. I've been doing this for a hot second now. And it took us 100. It's funny because everybody's like, oh, most things in life, it's like, oh, I can't. We all have fears of not starting stuff until we know what we're doing, and like it
Hmm.
took us 100 episodes to like even slightly figure out what the heck we're doing.
Practice makes
Like
perfect.
you
Not that we're
can't.
perfect yet, but
No, we're
we'll
not
get
perfect.
there.
You can't like expect to be at 100 status and skill level when you are starting at zero.
100%. You're
So we've been figuring stuff out, and I still haven't used. We're at 100 episodes, and I know I 100% should be using my microphone and everything, and I'm still not. So it is what it is.
people get really bogged down on the technical aspects of starting shit. I say forget it, as long as you're
It's
having fun.
funny too because have you watched the show Only Murders in the Building?
Is that with Selena Gomez and
Yeah.
Steve Martin? I
I
haven't
thought
yet.
of like you and Monica the second that like we started watching it because if you were, and the reason why is because these are both fans of true crime things and true crime podcasts.
Girl,
I
the
thought of
amount of
you guys
documentaries.
immediately, but and it's really good. It's very funny.
Hmm.
And I don't remember. I'll tell you why
Where you were going with this?
my brain is smushed today too. But um in the show they made a funny comment. They make funny comments about like people who like make podcasts thinking that like people want to listen to them. Like just to be clear, at least from like Maria and I did not make this podcast with this the intent of being like what we have to say is so important. We made this podcast to help us process our own crap of what's going on in the world in the hopes that maybe it'll help somebody else be able to do the same.
Hmm.
It's not because we expect someone to give a crap about our thoughts or opinions or we need people to listen to our voices, even though I think that there are a lot of podcasts out there that are 100% valid, like
Hmm.
towards that being their only intention in doing it. But we
Hmm.
mostly do this for ourselves
Hmm.
and for each
Yeah,
other.
100%.
And if anybody else wants to enjoy the ride or gets any benefit from it, you're welcome to. Which brings us to like what we're doing and what our new branding stuff is.
Yeah, it's wild. We thought about this. I want to say like at least a month or two ago now. I
Yeah,
literally can't remember.
it was a while
Because
ago.
it was inching up to 100, and it was like right before summer, because then our summer schedule got real crazy.
Okay.
So
I don't remember. So, okay.
yeah, it was on my birthday.
Yeah, well, I know we did our your like birthday it was late birthday celebration lunch,
It
but we
was
did
still
a
in
birthday
June,
celebration
so
lunch.
it had to be a couple months ago. So
Yeah, yeah. We were planning ahead.
hmm which doesn't tend to happen, but
No,
for the 100th,
every once in a while,
we figured we'd
plan
plan
something
ahead.
out.
Hmm.
Okay, so wait, how do you want to do this? You're gonna show the little picture thingy?
Yeah, so yeah, basically. So I'm gonna edit it in the
Oh
middle
wait, no, I
somewhere.
thought you said you wanted me to show it. What is it?
Either way, whatever you're comfortable with. There we go.
Yay! So this is our new logo. I have all of these random tabs open. Okay, explain it. I would explain it, but I didn't tell you. So
Okay.
for the last the whole it's funny because it's like are you awake yet, and the answer to that question on so many levels today is no because I haven't been sleeping well the last 3 days.
Me
I've been
too.
getting like 3 hours of sleep and not sleeping well and then
Me
trying to sleep in
too.
the middle of the day. Oh good, then it's not just me. So last night I was like, you know what, I can't do this, I need to get a good night's sleep. So I took melatonin gummies and this like sleep health supplement that I have,
Oh,
and
okay,
I'm
word.
still sleeping. Like I like my body is going the places that I need to go, but my brain hits 100 for like 3 seconds and then goes right back into like an autopilot dull place. So am I awake yet? No, but that's not the reason why this question is there. So Maria, go for it.
Okay, I'll try and explain this. It's just a revamped version of our original logo, icon, whatever you guys want to call it, but with this sassy ass motherfucker.
Sassy ass.
Basically. It's like
That's her
so
that's her trademark name, sassy ass.
so Brittany, so when we were coming up with this logo, Brittany was like, "Oh, it should be like an eye," like because the whole premise of this, like, "Are you awake like yet?" As in, like, we talk about a topic and then we kind of discuss our thoughts on whatever topic we decide to discuss, which we've been doing,
Yeah,
and then enlightening people if you want to hear it or not.
correct.
Say like, are you awake to your surroundings? So the eye situation is like, oh, we should make it into a circle and like kind of like an eyeball opening up, and then I just decided to make it just a person,
Yeah,
and I was like, here's a person. She's sassy as fuck.
they are their own being.
Yeah, so that's the Be More mascot right now.
Amen.
This entity.
Literally hashtag sassy ass. I love that.
Yep. So there's that. So
Oh, I can read like the actual. Should I read the thing we wrote?
oh yeah, we do have a new description.
Yeah.
The whole brand has changed slightly. It's
Yes.
still the same,
It's still
just
us, and it's like
more
not
refined,
even changed. Yeah, it's just more
more
refined
refined.
to what we figured out. So, ready, guys? This is our new take on what we're doing and where the whole "Are you awake yet?" comes from. So, I'm gonna give you like my Mr. Movie Phone voice.
Great.
What does life look like before you have the words to describe living with awareness? For Brittany and Maria, it meant finding a childhood friend who could help make space to fumble through the words and feelings of unrealized awareness. As they got older, the journey of managing health led them to question, what does life look like when you wake up to the worlds of emotional intelligence and self-awareness? The Be More podcast is about uncovering and understanding what we find as we journey through with our eyes open and manage the biggest challenge of living with awareness. How do you overcome the struggle of walking through life with your eyes open when so many other people are still asleep? We get curious, political, annoyed, in our feelings, and somehow still pretty damn funny. We invite all humans to sit with us, but before we do, take a breath and ask yourself, are you up yet?
Period.
Bum, bum, bum. So that's
So
the premise
dramatic.
behind what we're doing. And to anybody listening who follows us on Instagram, or even if you have our email, like any social medias, we want to know your thoughts on this. And we want you to, like, if you can let us know topics that you're like, hey, can you guys talk about this? Like, not enough people know about this situation happening, or not enough people talk about this situation going on, as personal discoveries for ourselves, just to be more aware and have more of a sense into what's going on around us. Like, if you guys could help us extend that and maybe help shed that light for other people too, that would be awesome. But that is what we're going for now.
It's really just a more refined definition of what we're doing. We've been doing it for a while. So
Oh,
like, oh,
what
you
about
good?
it? I tried to move my chair and it was just a tragedy.
Because like last episode is a prime example, like the whole
Mhm.
weather thing, kind of
Oh
just
yeah.
like discussing all of that and our thoughts, and then hopefully people got something out of that.
Yeah, and like I feel like our our whole journey and our whole purpose of being here, the greater being here, is to learn information and share information with others, and that's just like the gist
That's
of
just
what
what
we're
we're
doing.
doing. I keep looking at myself and I'm so like bloated or like just puffy. So I just woke up.
I'm so happy to hear that you're not sleeping either, because I there's like misery loves company.
There's something in the air because I cannot fall asleep and then I'll wake up my usual time, so I'm clearly not getting enough sleep. You know?
Yeah, yeah, it hasn't been fun. I've spent the last couple nights, I am exhausted and I fall asleep and I feel like I'm sleeping too hard in my first cycle. And then I wake
Sleeping
up at
too
one
hard.
o'clock and I'm like, because I go to bed around 11. So I'm getting a solid like 2 or 3 hours of sleep. And then I wake up and I'm just like, well, now what?
See, so that happens with me. I want to say maybe out of a whole month, maybe half the time I'm asleep. I
Uh,
wake up like 30 minutes after, and then I'm like wide
that's
awake.
rough.
I'm like this sucks because then I fall asleep at like 2 typically, and I wake up at like 9, so like 7 hours. I'll wake up at like 2:30 or maybe sometimes 3 o'clock, and I'm like, what now?"
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I sometimes am like super productive. Like one of the nights I was crazy productive and I did an entire year of like planning on things that I needed to get done. And for like 3 hours and it was great. But
Mhm.
then the rest of the day I was a zombie because I
Your
couldn't bring
brain,
myself to do anything else. The brain is just such a fickle thing.
it sucks sometimes. But when it's on point, it's on point.
I mean, yeah, it just we have no control over when it wants to be on point and when it doesn't want to be on point
Yeah.
unless
So,
we take caffeine. I think that was part of the issue though.
oh, I had caffeine
What
yesterday.
like made it worse because I'm extremely sensitive to caffeine and I
Mm.
hadn't really had a lot of it in a while and I got first of all
Oh, you know what?
I know
Sorry.
that it's like annoying. I know that I'm
Yeah.
annoying, but I got a pumpkin
Oh,
cold
don't
brew from
apologize.
Dunkin'.
Don't apologize because before you go on, I have the pumpkin creamer in my fridge right now.
Dude,
So don't even
I don't even
apologize.
I just like I it's not even a seasonal thing. Like I'm not
I
it's not
love
even like
pumpkin flavored shit.
I'm a biddy about like being I am like in love with the fall, but it's just so good. Like I would drink
So
it in the
fucking
middle
good.
of the spring. I don't care. I wish they had it all year round. This
Yeah,
cold brew with like the foam and the cinnamony foam. Oh,
girl.
it was so good.
You're
I wanted
preaching
to
to
swim in.
choir.
And I drank, it was like
Yeah.
this big,
Yeah.
and I drank
All.
3/4 of it.
Mm.
So, and I didn't have it that early in the day. So I think that that contributed to like me waking up because the caffeine was still in my system. And then it just stayed in my system for like,
So yeah, so I usually I think with age, with anything with age, right? Aging sucks. I'm getting more and more like sensitive to caffeine because I used to just like
well, that's a
drink.
good thing. Usually you get
I
like,
know, usually it's just like a what am I trying to
you
think? I
start to
say
build a tolerance to it.
yeah, it's usually it's just like a placebo effect for me. That's the word I was looking for. It's just like,
Interesting.
oh, I'm drinking caffeine. Like when I wanted to work, I like make my brain like, oh, like I need to wake up. Otherwise, it's just like a I just drink it. But
Yeah.
now yesterday I had I had I made myself coffee with the pumpkin creamer because I bought it the other day. And then but it was like in the afternoon. So I think that's why I was up till like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. That's, if I literally have to be like, you cannot have coffee after this time.
I
And
know,
if
I have to
you
like
have
stop.
it, I need to like be running around during that time so that I exhaust my body out so my body's like more
I was
toxic in my
super
brain.
productive right after I drank that coffee. I cleaned this whole place. You probably see like a frame up. That was from
Oh
yesterday
yeah,
because I
yeah.
had caffeine with me.
Nice.
Like I went grocery shopping, washed my dishes that I haven't washed in like a week. So it was just like it was great, but then it was still in my system because I made it really strong yesterday for like no reason. I just wanted the taste of coffee. But yeah, caffeine. But also don't apologize because I was one of the fucking idiots. Not idiots. We're not idiots. I just went when I heard that Duncan had pumpkin that day that it released, and I went, obviously.
Oh, I didn't even know they really. I drove up and I was like, "Hey, pumpkin stuff."
Yeah, it came out, I don't know, like a week and a half ago or something. I was like, and Kate, I think, was wondering when everything was coming out. So obviously I Googled it and I obviously went before work that day, whenever that was.
Amazing. Honestly,
But
I mean,
if there was pumpkin all year round, then yes, I would get pumpkin. I think
look.
one place had it randomly in the spring last year. Like they still had, I guess, just like extra pumps of like, pumpkin
Oh, win. Yeah.
for like a while. They had just had extra inventory, and I was like, oh, perfect. Like it was like March, and I was getting pumpkin, so
It's just so good.
for
Like
real.
it's just so good. So, if you're somebody I'm excited about the fall for multiple reasons, but I'm mostly excited about the fall for that. And you can be a hater, but like live your life. It's fine. I wish they had pumpkin year round.
I
Um,
also wish they had gingerbread year round. Starbucks does not do gingerbread anymore, and I'm really mad about it.
I don't think I've ever eaten anything like I like gingerbread, but I don't think I've ever had gingerbread flavored
Oh,
stuff.
gingerbread latte, they're so good.
I don't know why we're talking about this. This is hysterical. You
I
know
don't
what I
know.
am looking forward to? So, um, I mean, I'm looking forward to this, but I'm looking forward to this because of something else. So which is crazy already, but my and Dan's 1 year anniversary is coming up
Yeah,
already.
Halloween. That's
Um,
crazy.
and we were trying to decide on stuff that we were gonna do, and we actually just booked something yesterday. So when I went on tour, I was hearing all about Dollywood, so I really wanted to go to
Mm.
Dollywood, but Dollywood's
Mm.
like booked out for like the next 6 months.
I would say Dollywood is like
You have to
super booked out.
rep that in advance. But they have a really cool like festival of lights and music festival during the fall,
That's
which
cool.
is why I was super interested. So we're gonna have to book that out for next year. But
That's
I
cool.
was trying to think of something else for us to go do, like a little weekend getaway. And I remembered that there is a, let me preface by saying this. Dan and I, a lot of our relationship is about us going on like adventures in nature. We love being outside and doing stuff together. So a while back, I had looked for things to do and I found this company called the Rail Explorers,
Okay.
and they take old, no longer in use train tracks, railways, and they put pedal bikes on them, like tandem
Oh,
bikes on them. Like it
yeah.
looks like essentially like if you were to do like a paddle boat on the water, but you put it on a train track.
Mm-hmm.
And they have one in the Catskills
Oh, nice.
that I figure is gonna be gorgeous in October. So we're gonna go
Oh,
do that and hang out
I
in like this cute little town.
that's great because like um before COVID, this was a while ago now. Do you remember Shabi
Yeah,
and
of
Nida?
course.
Yeah. So that little friend group that I have with them went and got an Airbnb up in the Catskills, and dude, like just sitting there in the
So excited.
quiet and like away from like society for like a long weekend, you're gonna have fun. Like
Yeah, we
that's
got
just your
this
vibe,
cute
obviously.
tiny little yeah, that's totally my vibes.
Yeah.
We got this cute tiny little cottage that's got like
Nice.
all this beautiful scenery around it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited. And like the one really nice thing, I
Mm-hmm.
think the one thing that tour was really good for me was it got me over that hump of being like, oh, I gotta go out in the world again.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that post-COVID, like being afraid to do anything and like how do I do this again and how do I go back to the normal of because I love to adventure and I love to travel, but I was it changed everything.
Oh yeah, even when I went to California in June, I was like, oh my God, like I have to go on a plane. Like this is
Yeah.
weird.
So I think
Um,
that experience got me over that little hump. So now like I'm
yeah,
honestly
same.
booking out like as much travel and adventure stuff as we possibly can do.
Me too. I'm trying at least.
Hallelujah.
So my dad really like he like called me one day randomly. This was a while ago. He was like, "Can we go to Disney? I like really miss Disney." This is my father.
Oh,
Like not even like the kids. My dad just like I want to go like Epcot and like Disney and all like amusement parks because my dad's just a child
but
at
like
heart.
most of Disney is made for grown adults.
Made for grown-ups, yes.
Like it's not just for kids.
Right, agreed. Um, but I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, we'll figure something out. Like, and my dad is always just like, we should go now. Like, he's like a very because his schedule is more flexible. Even though I have a very flexible
Yeah.
lifestyle compared to many people in corporate. But obviously, I have deadlines. So I'm like, Dad, like, I physically cannot go until like my lull, like around October or whatever. Like after like, from October 15th onward until busy season starts in mid-January, I'm like, we can do whatever the fuck you want. Um, but since Kate is now in college,
Weird.
yeah, very weird. She obviously also wants to go to Disney if we go to Disney, and she has a long weekend, September 23rd. I think it's Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah.
It is.
Yeah, I
Rosh
defer to you. I don't
Hashanah,
remember which one.
it's Rosh Hashanah. Yom Kippur is the first week of October.
Okay, got it. So it's Rosh Hashanah, so she has like a 5 day week, like it's like extended, I
Yeah.
guess. Um, so that my dad was like, "Oh, can we go to that?" So like, I believe I'm going to Disney World
Cool beans.
around that time.
Honestly, when they decorate for Halloween in the fall, it's just so beautiful.
So I've never been.
Oh,
Ashley actually was just there a couple weeks ago. And she went to like the whole Halloween thing and like everything was out. I'm super excited to like
it's
go and see that
gorgeous.
myself. I also am very excited to go to I want to go to obviously Universal for Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And like at night, like the Death Eaters are out just roaming around and shit and just like
What?
yeah, like they
I
like
remember. I probably would have pooped my pants if I saw that, but I didn't know.
I want to go see it because obviously I want to see like Death Eaters fight, aka like just fucking waves their wand and there's like lights behind them and shit. So
Interesting.
and then and then the Goofy movie is my favorite Disney movie, top three. Like
You want to know what's so funny? And this is like super
okay,
random, but Goofy is Sam's favorite Disney character.
really
So that is so funny to me. I think
is the Goofy movie her
you
favorite?
gotta love Goofy. I don't know if it's her favorite movie, but I know she loves Goofy.
It is my top three. If I can,
That's
one depending on my
hysterical.
mood, like maybe one or two. I don't know.
Especially knowing you, that is such a golden nugget of information to know about you.
Yes, I don't think people like. I don't like. You couldn't guess from my demeanor that the Goofy
Never in a
movie is
million
even like
years.
in a blip
No,
in my in my like top like Disney
that's
movies,
hysterical.
but it is. And Max is dressed up as Powerline this year, and they haven't done Powerline in fucking
I
forever,
don't
so
know
I
what
have to
is
go
that.
see Powerline. Oh, hold on.
No idea what that is.
Powerline.
Yeah,
Yeah, Max is
yeah.
dressed up as Powerline for Halloween, so I have to go see Powerline.
Wow.
I just pulled out. See, like
Yeah, I
literally,
remember. I
like
remember that. That's crazy. Just it's so
just
funny
this
to
is
just
a visual as to
see
like
you
this is my favorite Disney movie.
and
I
have
have a Powerline.
flashbacks of
that
watching
song.
those things as a kid. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I have to see Powerline. Like I don't even have to meet Powerline. I just have to see him in the fucking the
Someone needs
parade.
to get a video of you when you actually see it. It's it's live the older I get, the more that I enjoy reliving those. I mean, that's
I
like
think
the
that's
of
like
life, reliving those nostalgic things.
I think it's like
But
what my parents are like, like my dad's like, oh, I want to go to Disney. Like I want to go see it.
yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
whoa,
And
yeah.
it's the things that trigger you. So even so yesterday I bought like air fresheners to put in Dan's car,
Mm.
and while we were driving around, I kept having like there must be a name for when you trigger nostalgia but you can't place it.
I know, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Talking about, you're
I
like,
know
I
exactly what you're
know
talking
this
about.
for something and I feel nostalgic about it, but I
Hmm.
can't place.
Pinpoint it, yeah.
Yeah, like it's such a weird feeling in your brain to have. I don't know
It's
what.
so it's like contentment finally.
Yeah, but
It's
it's
like you're
the
very content.
it's that moment of like where like you're going through all of your memories, and like like the energy is traveling
Yeah, yeah.
through all the neurons and you literally feel it and you're like, what is going on right now? And then I ended up placing it that my dad used to have like something in his car that smelled like that, and
Mm,
I could
mm,
remember just the feeling of like being in the car on family travel and
yeah.
like smelling that smell. So I don't, there's
But smell apparently like is the strongest to trigger something like it. You get the
yeah,
strongest
the
feeling when it's the
nostalgia,
smell. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
I feel that. There are certain instances where I get a whiff of something and I'm like, hold on. I
yeah, and it
remember
takes you a second to like,
I'm pretty sure I told this story on here, but I remember when I bought this place, I walked right outside this door into the hallway and it smelled like my grandmother's house. I'm like,
yeah,
oh, okay, I think this is a safe place.
yeah,
I think this is where she
you're
wants me
good.
to be. Um, but yeah, I need to see. I need to go to Disney.
Just
I need to go to
experience that like
Universal.
childhood bliss again.
Yeah, I need because like after I mean COVID, as much as we can't stand talk about COVID, it's still like it changed everything. So I'm just
Yeah.
like I need to like go and travel and like
Yeah.
do stuff.
I
And my
mean,
mother right now is in Europe. I'm so jealous.
wait for what?
So my mom's best friend from the Philippines also lives up here in
Okay.
Jersey. She lives in like Montclair, up very North Jersey, Montclair, Clifton area, and they're part of like a Filipino church, I guess, or something. So it's one of these church funded like trips that are like all inclusive package deals. My mom's not part of the church.
Oh,
So she 5 countries for I don't know, a couple weeks or whatever.
wow,
Tickets
that's
paid,
awesome.
like all transportation, like all the, group whatever. 5 grand. I'm like, I would go to 5 different countries for $5,000
That's
for 10 days,
nothing.
and that's like
Yeah,
nothing. Yeah. So I'm just
that's
like,
amazing.
damn. So Germany, Austria, Italy, Croatia, and I'm blanking on the fifth
Dang.
country. So my mother's living her best life. I'm very
Aw, I'm
jealous.
so happy for
I
her.
know, I'm so happy for her. She's like in Venice, I think, right now. They're gonna go on the gondola. I'm just like, oh,
So cool.
mom, good for you. I'm like, just bring me back a magnet for my fridge.
Yeah, something that I can look at and be like, one day.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Something to like aim for. So, my parents are traveling.
That's
My
awesome.
dad has been to the Philippines a few times now. So I'm just like, I need to go. I'm itching now to like do
Yeah,
something.
that's the one bad thing is that you like, it's a good thing to have
Hmm.
something to look forward to, but yeah,
For sure.
definitely. It's very interesting, and we are very fortunate. We talked about this not that long ago, how we have the ability to like drive a couple hours and just be somewhere new versus like it used to take our ancestors forever to get anywhere.
Forever, yeah.
Um, and it's one of those things that becomes painful because you know that you can do it, but the only thing that's really limiting you is like scheduling and what your
I know.
work life is
Adult
like.
Adulting. Or
So
even
you have
school for
to,
kids. It's just
yeah, and
like,
you have to just like time it out to go do stuff. And I think it's something that when you get really comfortable or you get really like complacent, like it's easy to forget that you have the ability to do that stuff. And I know that especially like life gets hectic and we forget. Like even with our anniversary coming up, like we knew it was coming for a year, and I was like, "Oh, we'll do it later. Oh, it's fine. We'll
right, yeah.
get to it eventually." And then it just happened to work out on a whim. Thank goodness that we have something really fun that we're going to be doing. But it's ridiculous how time gets away from you when you want to plan that stuff.
It
And
sucks.
honeymoon's a perfect example, but I don't want to. It's hard because I still don't want to go over and travel and do things in Europe because I know that there's still a lot of stuff going on over there right now, and we
Yeah,
want to be able
yeah.
to do it the way that we want to be able to do it.
For sure, yeah.
So, but it's definitely I would encourage people for sure that if you're like, oh, I want to do this, or I'm excited to
Do
go
it.
try that. And um it's interesting too. We were just talking to like Dan's uncle yesterday who came in from Boston, and they were saying how
Hmm.
um like we could take a train up to see them and how convenient that would be. And like I would rather drive places. How do you feel about like plane versus train versus driving the places?
So, I have a unique situation where my father obviously works at the airport.
Well,
Brittany knows this.
that's true.
So, uh, though I'm not biased to flying, like it's very convenient, obviously, but a long time ago, we drove all the way down to Florida to Disney with my parents,
Mm,
and like that, like granted, like for the majority of it, I was like sleeping.
right, right.
Like I'm not gonna lie, like I wasn't like awake for like the however many hours, and I also drove a part of it. But just like seeing the country and just like even though it is like majority of it is highways, but even so, like you get the different feels of every state with their highways, so it's not like
Yeah.
one big highway. And
And
just like
everything's so
stopping
different.
by, yeah. So and even in the Philippines, like we drive everywhere from like so my mom and my dad's side of the families are like a 9 to 10 hour drive, and we drive that. Like we're not taking a
Mm,
plane because like a waste of money half the
yeah.
time, and we'll just pay for gas, like, and we get to go stop by like places we want to eat, like our typical places we have a route for the most part, so like just seeing the country and doing that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would love one day though to take that train like across country, that like
Mm,
whatever that Amtrak train is or whatever it's called, like
yeah.
from like New York all the way to Cali, because like people have done that. I've seen that on like TikTok and everything. And I'm like, man, like that's one way to see the country without actually like getting
Yeah.
out and like doing stuff,
That's
you know?
I think that when I really think about it, I think time is a huge factor, but
Oh, 100%.
I
Yeah.
think there are a couple of things. I hate being in the car, but I love being in the car. And I think a
Yeah,
lot
there's
of
love
the
hate.
reason why is because there's a lot more control aspect that you have over being in the car. Like you can stop
Hmm.
when you need to, you can get out when you need to, you can like choose where you're going. And there's a lot more, I feel like there's also just like a lot more to do. Like if you are driving yourself, obviously there's not a
Of
lot more
course, if
you can
there's,
do.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, but when you're the passenger in the car, like there's a lot more to see.
Oh,
Like
yeah, visually,
the
yes.
plane, you're limited on everything you can do. And for the general population, I'm sure that like that's really enjoyable. But for me, it makes me antsy as hell to be like, okay, look, I'm gonna look out the window and there's a cloud and there's a cloud and there's a cloud and there's a cloud. And there's a cloud.
I can only watch so many movies before I want to
Right.
like
And before you get like restless and antsy. So that makes me nuts. And then in full disclosure, I don't think I've ever traveled really far on a train.
I mean either.
But even the train, like when we have taken the train to like the major cities,
Hmm.
I feel like there's a limit on what you can do because you're sometimes going so fast that you can't see anything.
Oh yeah.
And I
Hmm.
really enjoy like the visual aspect of being in the car.
Hmm.
So I've never driven down to Florida. I think that I would
It's
probably
a
hit my limit in being able to deal with it. But like we've gone to Canada and we've gone to North Carolina, and like
hmm
those drives are not that bad. Like 7 to 10 hours in
yeah.
the car with a couple stops is really not that bad.
Oh, Florida is brutal.
No, Florida's brutal. And that's the thing. I'm like, that's what I kind of want to challenge. Even like
But
going
it
into
is like a
summer.
thing that you should, not should, but if you can experience, because it's just
Yeah.
like so much of the coast. That's what it is.
Yeah,
It's
that
just
you
like,
get to see.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But like that's why even when we were going to Dollywood, like looking at Dollywood, it's like 11 hours. So my
Hmm.
one of like the things that I kind of want to work towards doing, and we've driven up to Boston before too. Like I want to almost we're fortunate because of where we are currently located in New Jersey, you
Hmm.
have access to like you drive
So many
a few
places.
hours and you can access a lot of cool places. So I kind of want to like over the next couple of years be like, all right, what's 10 hours from us in this direction? And be like, okay, let's go there. You know what I mean? And just kind of like
Yeah,
fan out across the side of the coast.
that'd be cool.
Uh, road trips are fun. I love road trips. So
I also,
even if you're somebody who's like, COVID, like don't get on a plane, don't get on a train, get in your own car and drive like 45 minutes and see where you end up.
no, 100%. Also tying it back, like, are you awake? Like,
Yeah, we really talked about our brand and then didn't talk about anything related to
no, but like this is like
it's because
just
both of us are
traveling.
asleep.
Yeah, well, no, traveling though wakes you up to like just different. It doesn't have
So
to be
true.
international. It literally, I mean, you went to the south. and you're like, oh shit, like this is pretty like there's like different
Things
things
are
out here,
different.
and this is
Yeah.
the same country.
You want to know what gets me? What gets me the most and has like
Hmm.
ruined me in a not in a good way, but in a not good way.
What?
I have become when we're driving, like Dan and I drove down to South Jersey yesterday to see his family.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was on that bus and because we were driving through so many different states and I'm somebody who likes to like look at where we're going, I spent so much time like observing the foliage and like looking at
Mm.
the trees and looking at the
Mm-hmm.
plant life.
Yeah.
And now that I'm home, like I'm just like, oh, you know what I mean? Like I'm just like, I'll be
How
more.
underwhelming.
That's why I love. That's why I love the fall because there's so much to see. But
Hmm.
like it does. It changes your. I mean, in a good and a not good way. But like now, what I'm excited for us to go to the Catskills because I love those like huge, like
Oh
been
yeah.
here for ages trees.
Trees. Yeah.
Like guys, if I don't, not for the sense of like being like a tree hugger and like the whatever sense it was as a derogatory statement, but like I think trees are the coolest things on the face of the earth. So like
Uh-huh.
I want to go to Washington State and like look up at those gigantic
Oh, those big ass trees.
trees. Like I think that's the coolest thing ever. So I'm excited to go to the Catskills and just like hug a tree.
Mood. I'm trying to find when, man, that was 2017. There's no, oh no, 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 it wasn't. It was, that's another trip up the Catskills.
But you're
I'm
totally right.
trying,
You get good perspectives to being awake to what's going on when you travel.
yeah, I'm trying to find a picture of like that place I went with my friends.
Oh, the cabins. I saw they were on your Insta,
Yeah,
weren't they?
yeah.
And
I
they're
mean, I'm gonna give it to the audience here
of course.
because like just like taking a breath, like in a literal and figurative way, just like breathing up there, literally, it's just like, ugh, like you feel so relaxed, and then just taking a breath
Yeah.
from and a pause from society is just absolutely like you can't get it anywhere else. Like nature is fucking wild, honestly, guys. Like,
And it really makes me laugh because I have an aunt who
hmm.
it's a hard thing for me to fathom because I am a very naturalistic person, but I have an aunt who's like, I don't let grass touch me. Like
Don't like grass touch.
she's so not a naturalistic person. And I love her to death and everything else we get along with, but she has no greater like sense or understanding of nature, which I feel
Really?
like is just inhuman. I don't know. She's an interesting one. She just
Mhm.
can't do it.
I mean, some people don't like nature, and that's
Yeah.
just them.
I
But
feel like
like,
it's an
when
interest. I feel like how are you?
how are
How?
you living? And not even that. I mean, this isn't a good picture. It's too bright, isn't it?
I can see the sun, like the glare.
But like, just to like look out and just
Oh, I
like,
see it.
it's
It's
just
cleared
like
up.
nothingness,
That's
just like,
beautiful. There are some. Where the hell were we? I think it was when we were in North Carolina. It's funny because you, like, even where
mhm.
we live now, like, you know how sometimes in Jersey you're like, you drive in a certain direction and then there's like, you're like, oh wow, look at that mountain over there.
Yeah.
And it's
And
like
you're
this
like, oh shit,
dimple
like,
in the like in the little dimple in the earth. We were,
yeah,
we were in North Carolina and
those are the stars. I don't know if you can
yeah,
tell
you
that.
can see
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
When we were in North Carolina and we were driving through the Smoky Mountains,
Mm-hmm.
home Atlanta, like
Mountains.
mountains. Like,
Yeah.
and there's something about, you know, those like, and they do it in the scenes of like TV shows where like you'll pan across the mountains and you see like the fog and like,
Oh yeah.
it's like, and all of like the like shadow shapes of the mountains like off in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
When you see that kind of stuff in person, especially somebody who's me, like who's very much in tune with like nature, like
Yeah.
it's just astonishing and breathtaking. And it drove me up a wall because when we were in the bus and we were driving through all of this, the way that I think the younger generations are very fortunate because they get to access these things without having to be there in person. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that it makes them really jaded to the actual like
The actual
physical
thing. The
experience
actual thing.
because
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like, oh, I've seen this before, but like no you haven't, like you know what I mean. So when we were there and they were like they
Yeah.
like barely looked up from their phones and I was like, look at all of this, like take a look at these giant windows, like
Mm-hmm.
first of all they're relatively young and when are you ever going to get the chance again to go on a tour where, like around the country where you can see all this stuff and like not be paying for anything. Like, take it in. And they were like,
Yeah.
they were like on their phones, like looking down. They would look up and
Oh, okay.
go right back. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it drove me.
It is a generational thing though.
It
'Cause
totally is.
I definitely it there are definitely a lot of instances where it's just like, you know, like those younger generations are like, okay. And I'm like, no, but like
Yeah.
when the hell are you gonna be back here?
Yeah,
You
like
know?
look and play and experience. That's one of the things. Um,
Especially with the talk of us like the older you get, the scheduling just like gets worse and
yeah, like
worse.
you don't have the freedom. I really my it's funny because sometimes I'm like, whoa, but there are a lot of things, and I probably don't say this to her enough. So if my sister-in-law ever listens to this, there are a lot of things that my sister-in-law puts in place for my nephews that I think are really beneficial to them.
Hmm.
And I think are really a good call on her part. But one of the things that she has them spend so much time outside. They
That's
spend
great.
so much time outside. So um they get to go on all these hikes and play in all of these places and do all these really cool things in nature and outside, and they're gonna have that sense of, I think it's a really actually maybe not for the younger generations because who knows what nature is going to look like in the future if they'll have access to it. But I think that, and I'm thinking about this now, I wonder if the reason why I feel like I have a stronger sense and connection to nature as a calming thing is more of a nurture, pun not intended, like more of a nurture than nature thing. But
Yeah.
like thinking about my nephews, I would hope and I would expect that because they get to enjoy being outside so much as kids, that as they get older, being able to go outside and be outside will be something rejuvenating and exciting and like calming for them. Like
Hmm.
that'll replenish their energies and like so to speak, right? Like the way that I feel that. I wonder if mine was nurtured from a young age. And I guess you can have a little bit of both.
You probably could. Yeah, you
But
have both.
when
If
I think
anything.
about my aunt, right? My aunt grew up in Hoboken, right? So like where
Yeah.
was she spending time in nature? Right? And like she grew up being afraid of bugs and being afraid of things and never really having pets. So like
I get that.
that was, it could have been more of a nature thing for her. I think I think it's just like music and just like all of the other, of like the multiple intelligences, right?
I think so. If you name them, I probably will.
Oh god, I don't remember all. So
A
there's
couple.
like
Just
there's like music, linguistic, like all the different
oh,
skills that we
okay.
can have.
Got it.
Kinesthetic, natural,
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
interpersonal, like all the different skill sets you can have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and obviously it's not that simple. It's just the basic way of breaking it down. I think like many of those other things, I think that your ability to be in tune with nature, you have that sense when you arrive into this world. It's just how much is it cultivated?
Mm-hmm.
Just like your desire to like travel and change perspective. I think a lot of that is nurture too.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I think now is a really good time. When we were in COVID, we spent a lot of time like, this is a really good time for you to educate yourself. This is a lot of really good time for you to take care of yourself. This is a really good time
To like know yourself.
to do, yeah, to like get to know yourself and heal yourself and take care of yourself. And I think that this like, I hate saying post COVID times because I don't think that that's actually going to ever be a thing where we
No,
have post COVID, but like
we're just
post
living with it.
quarantine time,
Yeah, post quarantine. Yeah.
I think now is about whatever you've done to hopefully like figure yourself out or take care of yourself. Like how do you push the boundaries on that and carry that into like doing even more self-discovery and self-exploration and having that be a part of your daily life and your quality of life versus whatever bullcrap it was beforehand, where we lived in a society that was very much like you work and you go home and you work and you go home, and now we've blurred the lines of that. So how do we continue to blur the lines of that like in an advantageous way? Are you awake to that, friends? Is what I
I was like,
that's my
I
question.
fell asleep in the middle of that.
Yeah, it's okay. My brain's awake right now. I think we hit the point where I run at 100. We'll see how long it lasts for.
Ugh, yeah, I mean, in this post quarantine life, right? uh, I think people are still so burnt out, unfortunately,
Yeah.
right? And especially if we're going off of like trying to find yourself in that quarantine life and then coming out of it in this post quarantine life still burnt out from learning what you hopefully learned in that time.
Yeah.
That like now I feel like more and more people slowly but surely are like, oh, okay, this is it. Like this is the new norm. I hate also that coined
Yeah.
term, like the
For I
new
feel like if you
norm.
look at it as like an individual way, it's like the new normal for you, right? Like it's
True, it's a
like
more
across the
microscopic
spectrum.
way as opposed to society. Like,
Yeah.
hopefully, I agree. They take the time to like, number one, be awake and like wake up and whatever, and also like just travel and like learn the different lifestyles with people. And it could just be like your fucking neighbor, like it doesn't have to be so grand. Like if you haven't been to a place in your town, like 5 minutes away, maybe go travel there. Like shit like that is also very like I don't want to say easy because some people that may be very hard for people still. Like I get that, but like that's also like that's not discounting like international travel versus like five
Yeah.
minute
I
travel.
mean, you could literally start with being like, I get Starbucks every day. Go to a different Starbucks.
You know,
Uh,
that's a very good case in point because I don't go to Starbucks anymore. I actually go to local coffee shops instead.
there you go. That's even better.
See, like
I love
little
that.
things like that because then you get to know because so I go to two Filipino owned coffee places.
That's cool.
There's one by me, and there's another one that's also 15 minutes away from, but more north. So the one by me right here is just a typical like coffee, espresso, blah blah, like just very better than your Starbucks. Yes, more
Always.
expensive because like duh, because there's only like a couple of their shops.
Right.
But I like the owner like knows me. He's like, "Oh,
That's
Maria, how are
cool.
you?" I'm like, "Oh shit, like I'm a regular here." Like you can, I mean, that's great.
That's cool.
The other one is like Filipino like flavors, like ube, like
Ooh, that's fun.
cassava and like all
That's
that
one
stuff.
of
That's
the.
fun.
So I had a friend recommend
Hmm.
to me to watch a show on Netflix called Virgin River, which is not a me show. It's really not a me show. And she kind of said, she was like, it's very Hallmarky. And I was like, dear God,
Okay.
no. The
Yeah.
reason why I still watch it, and like the storylines are like, it's fine. It's very Hallmarky. So, like, ugh. There are two reasons why I still watch it. And they both are because I live vicariously through the characters who live in this town because it's based in Northern California where it's literally breathtakingly beautiful and
Hmm.
so many trees and all this like it's based like on this town that's like set on a river, so you see
Hmm.
all of this beautiful scenery endlessly. That's one of the reasons why I watch it, because I literally close my eyes and I'm like, I'm there. And then the second reason why I watch it is because everything is based in this, I mean, really small town that's in the middle of the woods and like the middle of a valley between the mountains. So everything is local. Everything is small
Hmm.
town. And I remember it's weird the way that
The brain
life
works.
like changes your brain, but I remember when we grew up in a small town, I wanted nothing more than to be like, I want to get the hell out of here. Everybody knows everybody's business. There's nothing to do. And at this point in my life, I'm like, there's too many people around me. There's too many things. Like, there's too many options for me to do stuff. So I just get overwhelmed and I'd rather stay at home.
Hmm.
Like, there's like too much stimulus now. And I just feel like I want to go to the convenient life where I'm like, there's only 40 people that live in this town, and there are only so many places that I can go to eat and go to do. And then from there, like, you can go out and travel and do fun stuff. But then even just being able to explore nature would be enough to like settle that need to do
Settle your
something.
yeah.
And it's so interesting because for so many people that are our age, when I like explain that to people, they're like, "Well, what are you already like an old person?" And it like it come, you know what I mean? It comes off as being
Yeah. Why is there like there
like
shouldn't be like a
wanting to be
stereotype.
older and retire, but like I
Retired people travel all the time. I don't know what people are.
no, I yeah, but there's like super skewed, like
Yeah,
everybody
true.
looks at
Biases
everything
and
in our
stuff.
area that again, not having the perspective of being out in the world and knowing what it's like in other places. Um, but I literally and I remember so vividly those feelings of being like, I gotta get out of here. I can't stand it here anymore. Like I don't want to be like I need to be somewhere else. And there was even that small stint of time where I like thought I was gonna live in a major. Could you imagine me living in a major city now? Oh my god.
No, you'd be
I'd be a
absolutely
mess. I'd
just.
be high strung. I'd be
I
half
also want to live in the city,
honestly.
like a big city. And now I'm just like, The suburbs is where it's at.
Yeah, like can we
It's
go
common
more?
enough.
Let's go further into the woods.
It's common. So yeah, you want to go further into like seclusion, whereas this is a
Not
happy
even
medium for me.
seclusion. I want a different.
Like your neighbor's miles away as opposed to right next to you.
Well, yeah, I want.
Yeah,
I want the same amount of energies. I just want those energies to be coming from different sources. If that makes sense.
that's
And like this
fair.
is gonna sound
Yeah.
like more, like whatever hippy dippy bullshit. But and if you can't hang, then that's totally fine. You can put it in your own terms. Like right now, there's a lot of energy that's not great. Like, right, there's a lot of
Mhm.
energy from traffic and cars. There's a lot of energy from all the people that we live around. There's a lot of energy from like
Yeah.
literally garbage and corporate and all of that stuff. I want to move to energies that are like, there's a lot of trees here.
Yeah, like
I
natural
want that
energies.
kind of
You
energy.
just want natural energies. I
Yeah.
get that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm wondering how much of that I wonder if my desire to like bear children will be different if I'm in that setting.
Oh, I see.
Like
I get
more
what you mean.
calm, more nurturing, more
I
supportive.
mean, it is. I mean, the tri-state area where we live is just so high
Right.
energy that,
So
like, I get that. Everyone's so
I
like uptight, just like
yeah,
everyone's just
and I
tense
think
all
that
the
like my
time.
protective energies to be like, don't want to bring kids into this is making me be like, uh-uh. So I wonder if my thoughts on that would change if I had a
I
new
think
perspective
so.
to see daily. I think it would too, which is kind of partially why I want to like make that move and have that because I,
I get that.
I if I do want to bring children into the world, I want to be in a place where I feel like I can do that well.
Yeah, and a safe space for them too. I get
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I mean, even like if we lived somewhere calmer, in a sense that because like New Jersey, New York is very again high strung, high like corporate life,
Yeah.
high like everyone's just running everywhere. Like if we live somewhere in the Midwest or like somewhere very like
I mean,
rural
I don't know if
ish,
I could do
like
that, but
yeah, just something like in that same energy,
yeah.
whatever capacity span, whatever. Even my thoughts on like probably motherhood would be different. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Like it's all just happenstance that like our
Yeah.
parents chose here, like our we grew up here, like all
Yeah.
this stuff. Like even like over there in the Philippines, I would not want a child over there anyway. It's just like just happenstance.
Yeah. I mean, so that I think that's the theme of like this is what I want you to ask yourself, friends who are listening. Are you awake to how your surroundings have influenced like the way you are and the way you take care of yourself, the way you look at the world and the way you envision your life in the future? Because it has so much on all three of those areas. And that's like a big task. You're not doing that all in one day, friends. But like that's some of the things and some of the awarenesses that we have to start with, the awareness of our own self and how things influence us to, and I mean COVID's never created a better opportunity to do that. But and if you look at things and you're like, well, I am 100% directly a product of where I came from, then maybe it's time to travel.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's time to experience something new that still makes you feel comfortable and safe, but maybe pushes your boundaries of perspective a little bit. And if you're people like Maria and I who are like all for doing that, we salute you guys too. And we want to hear about all of your journeys and experiences. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us
Yeah, go to a local coffee shop instead.
right there. It's all it takes.
That's all that takes.
Oh, geez. Well, I woke up a little bit, and now that I'm awake, it's funny. Now that I'm starting to wake up, I'm starting to get hungry.
Me
So,
too. I'm starving. I wasn't hungry. I've just been like nursing this cup of water
yep, I
because
know that
like
feeling.
yeah,
I know
I'm
that feeling.
starving.
I feel like all we do is start simulating our brains here, and then we end up both hungry and wanting to eat, which is why we eat Jollibee when we get together. So
Uh-huh.
maybe you're feeling a little brain stimulation, a little hunger too. So go grab a snack. I'm gonna go have lunch. But
Same.
thank you guys for hanging out with us today.
Okay, bye.